Welcome to the Dirt Trail Running Podcast. My name is Michelle, and I am your host. And I am here with my co-host, Crystal the Pistol.
Hey, everybody.
And we're super excited today. We have Emily Ford, and we all watched last year, I guess. All the years kind of started going together with 2020. It was like the year that didn't happen. But we watched as Emily Ford. She was the first Black woman to hike 1,200 miles on the Ice Age Trail, and also the first woman to hike the Ice Age Trail in the winter, starting in December of 2020. Is that right, Emily?
Yeah. That's right.
And it was really exciting for us because we put on trail races. So we put on like the Kettle Moraine 100. So you would have went on the Ice Age Trail where that is, and the Ice Age. We don't put on the Ice Age 50, but it's the same course. So our community was really excited and following your journey, and adorable Diggins. And we're so honored and happy that you came on. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for being so flexible. People don't know, but we had to reschedule like 10 times because I was so full with my calendar. So thank you.
Well, that's really cool that you're that busy. I mean, you do a lot of stuff. We were just talking before we went on, and that you're a Duluth Trading Company model, and like that. How did that happen? Like, that's a really exciting thing.
A lot of things in my life, which you'll probably hear as I speak more, happen serendipitously. My old roommate's stepdad found a Craigslist ad back in the day when Duluth found models via Craigslist. And he's like, oh, Emily should do this. So we were playing Settlers of Catan one night, and she's like, hey, my stepdad said this. And so like, I just applied, and they said, great, come work with us. I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. This sounds great.
That's a really cool thing. I actually looked on the website right before we went on, and you're on the, I believe it's you on the cover, and you're gardening, and you garden in regular. I mean, you got plants all around you now, so I'm guessing that you're a gardener.
Yes, it's what I do for a living. Yeah, so I garden at a place called Glen Sheen here in Duluth. It's a historic mansion that you can tour. And then I garden for private homes also all around Duluth. There's tons of people around here that have big yards and big gardens, but don't have the time.
So yeah, that probably is part of the reason that you chose the winter, because I'm guessing you're gardening in the summer, so the winter is the time that you do your big adventures.
Yeah, so I get laid off for 3 months in the winter. I'm like opposite of most school teachers, and I really love it. I love having the winter to like kind of do whatever I want to. Mm-hmm.
Have you, as a kid, were you really adventurous, like, and outdoorsy, like hiking? You know, like what started all of this?
Yeah, so my family did more like motor outdoor things, you know, so like snowmobiling, four-wheeling, fishing, boating, a lot of pontooning, lots of pontooning happening. And I was just like mostly a dirty kid. Like, I love playing in the dirt. I love digging in the dirt and all of the above and all the below. And like, I hated like taking baths and showers. And like, I was just like this gross kid. Also, sorry, Diggins is having an itch fit over here. Her collar is so you'll hear her in the background. And so, yeah, as I grew up, I don't know, just when I was in college, especially, I was a geology major, and like our field trips were really cool. Like, we went to the Appalachians to do our spring break, and we went to Texas in the desert for our other spring break. So like, we did all these things, but the university or the college didn't want to pay for housing, so we had to camp for those trips. So that's kind of like where I really, got into it as an adult. And then when I moved up to Duluth, I mean, it's like the Spirit Hiking Trail goes right through town, so it's kind of hard not to want to at least try it. And so I tried it, and my pack was so heavy, it was ridiculous. I brought like glass jars full of my, like, for my kitchen stuff, like full of my spices. Look, I like don't even cook with spices. Well, A, I don't even cook at home, number one. Number two, if I do cook, I don't really use spices. So I don't know why I brought that kitchen set with, but it was so heavy. My pack on that trip is probably like 30 miles. Probably weighed about as much as my pack did on my winter trip. which was like 65 pounds. My pack was so heavy. But you grow in it and you get better at it. And so now I'm here and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I just like, when I was a kid, I just like to be outside mostly.
Yeah.
All the time.
Where was your first hike that you did 35 miles with a heavy pack as you were learning?
Yeah, it was on the Superior Hiking Trail here in Duluth. I can't remember what section it was, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like super difficult. It wasn't that far out of town. It was out of Duluth, north of here, but it wasn't that far out of town. And I think it was like the McCarthy Creek section, because I really remember that, and it was awesome. It was like a little waterfall.
When you did that, were you kind of thinking, that you were working your way towards a 1,300 mile hike or a 1,200 mile hike, or were you just learning how to do it?
Who knows what I was thinking? I don't know. I don't know. Probably like, I think I've always had like this dream of being a dirtbagger, like this person that like lives out of their van and like just goes and like, I don't know, climbs a bunch of pitches and then just, goes back in their van all dirty and stuff. And it's like not my reality now, but I like thought like, oh, maybe I can like sneak into this lifestyle. And, but I had student loans, so I couldn't do that. And I wanted to pay them. I wanted to pay those.
I know. I've always wanted to live in a van and just like go explore new trails, all the time. Why can't we all have that job?
Right.
Get to pay bills.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you decide that you wanted to do the Ice Age Trail? What drew you to that particular trail?
Yeah, this would have been 2019, the winter of 2019. It was like the fall of 2019. I had been wanting to do 1,000 miles for a while because it is on my bucket list to do the big three, the Pacific Crest, the Appalachian, the Continental. And I don't quite have time for those right now, but I knew I could at least do 1,000 miles. And the only time I have off is in the winter. And I was out playing volleyball and a buddy of mine suggested the Ice Age Trail. And I was like, I just like didn't really question it. I was like, yeah, okay, sounds good. And I like ordered their trail book the next day. So I don't know, that's kind of, again, very serendipitously, I'm just like, yeah, sounds great.
So
Sure.
you ordered the trail book. Did you like study it? And like, did you have a plan of how you were going to work? I mean, you got a lot of press. Did you have to work for that, or did that just accidentally happen as well?
Right. So the planning didn't happen until like maybe like 2 months before I left. So I got the book and then I set it on my nightstand. And then I probably used it as a coaster for my nail gel. For many. But yeah, because of Glen Sheen, I know some people know me because I've had to do press for Glen Sheen. And so they heard about my trip coming down the pipe and they're like, whoa, we would love to follow this. And so the Duluth News Tribune here locally followed with, and a couple stations caught up with me before I left. So that's kind of how that unraveled. Everything else kind of came through Instagram. And I specifically made my Instagram for this trip. And I didn't have very many followers in the beginning. And then, because I was only doing like weekly, I'd like dump a bunch of photos only once a week. And I'd like pop on, and the first week there's like 1,000 people following. And I was like, oh no. I was like, what's happening? Like, cool. Okay, well, this will be it. Like, these 1,000 people, like somebody told their friends and it's fine. And then it just kind of kept growing and growing and growing after that. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to walk home and these people can witness it. That's all I can do for them right now. So that unfolded. Yeah.
So that's what you were thinking you started on the east side and you were heading west, correct? And then west is right by, how close were you to your house at the end?
St. Croix is still an hour and a half away, at least from my house, but it's still in Minnesota. It was nice to be back in Minnesota, even though Wisconsin, I could see Wisconsin from my house. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if you actually like got to the end of the trail. You're like, okay, walking home now.
I had to sit in a car and wait to go home. Yeah.
That's really cool how completely organic it grew. And I think that part of that is because that, like, for Wisconsin, Chicago area, where I'm more of Chicago area, we all have such a love for the Ice Age Trail, and it goes through so many communities, and it was really exciting for every community to like watch and find out where you're at and then come out and greet you. Like, how often was that happening?
In the beginning, not so much, and then after that, it was like almost daily. I'd see, unless I was going through some more remote areas, then I wouldn't really see anybody. But the folks who live in the remote areas were like pretty on top of things still, even. So it wouldn't really be too much time. As the further north I got, there was several really cool groups of folks that went ahead of me and tromped down the trail for me in Diggins. In the beginning, I got rid of the sled I was pulling, and so I had to kind of get rid of some of the gear that would have been helpful to get through the deep snow, also known as snowshoes. And so either we were post holing it, or like really nice people went ahead of us and tromped down the snow, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And were you set up to be self-sufficient, like everything in your pack to camp on the side? Food, were you like how did you plan that out?
Yeah, I had this whole Excel spreadsheet. I went on several blogs and forums, could kind of see what folks had done before for winter, and based a lot of my calorie count off of a couple of folks' spreadsheets, and kind of did what I could with that. Yeah, so in the beginning, I was set up to like have enough calories for myself. But then I kept meeting all these really cool trail angels, and they like gave me way better food than, what I was packing. So I was like, bye to my stuff. And I was like, that they were giving me. And so that's kind of, I really like never kept track of my calories after that, because I kind of just kept getting enough food to make it through because of the trail angels.
Were you planning on like places to stop because you go through towns? Like, was that in part of your plans?
Yeah, even that was planned out. So on my spreadsheet, I had several windows, and one of them was food, calorie counts. So those were separate, and then my like new drop date. So I had several friends that were willing to drive all around Wisconsin and drop me off new food and like new clothes. And then I had an itinerary that I was going to try to follow. And in that were places to stop. So in the beginning, I stayed at like a calf ranch where they raised baby cows. And then I stayed at a sheep farm, a woolen mill where they spun wool. And so I'd call those people beforehand to make sure it'd be okay that I stayed overnight. And they were super generous and super awesome. So all that was in the works. It didn't always pan out how I wanted to, but what are you gonna do? You kind of just improvise on the fly. Like sometimes when I was like going through a town, I would just like knock on strangers' doors and like ask them to stay on their lawn.
Wow.
And it worked out. Like it worked out really well most of the time. Like there was only one night where everybody said no. Then I stayed in a motel. I hitched a ride to a motel that night. Other than that, yeah, people were really actually quite generous and quite kind.
So did you sleep outside at all?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Oh yes. Yes, we did. plenty of cold nights for the both of us. there was some like, so Diggins, like her, so she's an Alaskan Husky. And her coat is made so that her body heat is so intense, and when it would be really cold outside, her body heat meeting the cold air would make frost on her black fur. She's right here. Can you see her?
Yeah. Hi, Diggins.
She wanders with the nose most of the time. Yes, I don't want to. She's become quite that. Yep.
Aww. Oh my gosh. So Diggins just gave her a hug.
Yeah.
So cute.
She's pretty fun. So yeah, but she would, we would wake up and she'd have like frost all over her body, and I would just be like, oh my gosh, that's so cold. I'm like in my -30-degree sleeping bag with like my Nalgene's full of hot water, and she's just like sleeping out there. I'm like, sorry, dude. Because anything better in my sleeping bag, she was pretty wet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because she'd roll in the snow or sleep in the snow and all this stuff. So I didn't want that wet inside my sleeping bag. So Yeah. Yes. So yes, we did sleep outside, and it was actually quite nice. I mean, no, there are very few. This is my advocacy of sleeping outside or camping or backpacking, especially in the wintertime. This is like my biggest pull for it, is that the stars in the wintertime, especially when there's no moon, like in a clear night, it is the most beautiful, quiet thing you could ever see in your entire life, because the snow dampens all the sound that would usually be, around you, because leaves make a lot of noise. People don't know that. And then you might have the chance, depending where you are, see the Northern Lights, which they have eluded me so far. I haven't seen them yet, but if you ever see them, like, they're amazing, and you really get that in the winter time. You can get it in other times of the year too, but winter's like where it's at. So I didn't mind sleeping outside. I wanted to sleep outside even more.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to turn down generosity also.
Yeah, and
when there's
getting
good
a
food.
shower and
Right.
good food every once in a while.
Yeah.
So you must like colder weather, I'm guessing.
This summer has been miserable, man. It has been, I mean, I can't even complain. So I live in Duluth, Minnesota. And if people don't know where that is, it's like, it's north. It's very north. It's not Canada north, but we're only maybe 3 hours away from Canada here, Ontario. And like this summer, it's just been like day after day, like in the 90s. I'm just like, I can't. But thankfully, I live right next to Lake Superior, which is super awesome. So he's like plop in the water. But I am ready to see like some 20s and teens and like zeros. Really nice. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it on with this sweater. I'm bringing it up.
Yeah,
with
willing it.
Yes, manifesting this cold weather. So yeah, I do. I really love I love it.
So when you how did you decide to bring Diggins on the trip, and like special preparation for that training? How?
Right. So we didn't know each other. Again, sorry, she's goofing with my cord. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I wasn't planning on bringing a dog with me, because my other dog, Zulu, he is made for the summer. He's made for the heat. He's a Catahoula. They're from down south.
Okay.
And he's not made for the winter at all. So I was gonna go dogless. A musher buddy of mine was like, "You bringing a dog?" And I was like, "No. Do you have one to borrow?" She said, "No, but you can definitely post on this musher's website." And I was like, "Cool. How do you ask a bunch of professional mushers to like borrow their dog for like a 1,200-mile trip? Like, hey there, I'm an inexperienced, like, I don't know how you really put that out there. I've handled sled dogs before. I used to work at a sled kennel, and so I like try to put my little tiny resume out there, and nobody responded until Sherry responded, Sherry Beatty of Beatty Family Farms, and she's like, "I might have the perfect dog for you." They had just gotten Diggins not too long before, because they had bred Diggins so that she would have puppies, and she had puppies. She had a whole litter, so she was ready to go run again. And my partner and I went down to go visit Diggins in Lakeville, Minnesota, and it was like love at first sight. Like, she was running around the run yard, and like she came over to me and like showed me her belly right away, and I was just like, okay, like, we're ready for this. So then Sherry would bring her up to Duluth. They go to like a cabin in Ely or something like that, and so we would have like play dates. I'd like text Sherry and be like, can Diggins play this weekend, And so we went out for 2 shakedown trips, just to see how we would go together, and it was fine. The first time we went out, I had her sleep outside for like an hour, and then I was like, never mind, get in the tent. Because sled dogs, for anybody who's like never worked with sled dogs before, they're not domesticated animals usually, especially if they're part of a bigger kennel. And so like the indoors is an enigma to them, because like they don't know where to go to the bathroom. They don't know that you're not supposed to chew on the couch. They don't know, all these different things. But like she went in the tent and like knew where to lay down right away. So I was like, this is perfect. And it was kind of like, that was that from there. And so we started our journey. It was awesome. And then I had to say goodbye to her. And it's like, it was like the worst thing. There are some pictures of me floating around on the internet of me just like snotty face, like red eyes, just like saying goodbye to her. It was like the worst. So I came home from that trip, and the first thing I did was take a shower. And like, I sang the song Hunger by Florence and the Machine a lot on the trip, because like, I was hungry all the time. And which that song's not actually about that, but it worked. And like Spotify played it on like a, I don't know, daily mix or whatever. And I just like started bawling in the shower. I was like, oh, Diggins. It was like the worst thing in the world. But we ended up adopting her like a month later, so it's fine. It was just it was a long, hard month.
Yeah. How did the adoption come about? Like, did they just feel like you guys were just too attached and ended up deciding? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, I was really hitting the first of my lows of the post-trail blues or post-hike blues. I was hitting kind of the first wave of what that would look like for me. And so I called up Sherry and I asked her if I could borrow Diggins for a weekend. And I got us a little cabin in Isabella, Minnesota, it's a real small place. And I brought my partner with and our other dog with, so we stayed in this cute little cabin. And on our way back, my partner's like, what are the odds that like we could just keep her? So we started texting with Sherry, and we decided an amount that we would pay because she has good bloodlines.
Yeah.
And so dogs like pretty expensive. So like we agreed on a price, which is pretty hefty for both of us. We were like, she's worth it. And then Sherry and her daughter, who found Diggins, decided to give her to us for free, and was like, you guys have such a bond that like we can't even put a price on it. So we would like for you to have her. And I haven't seen that family since.
Oh my
we
gosh.
still,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was wild. And so we got to keep her. We went through a few rocky patches because she had to learn how to get along with her now brother, Zulu. So it took a little while for her to become her domesticated self, but she loves to sleep in. She loves to sleep on a bed. She loves mealtime. She loves to play, and it's awesome. Yeah. She loves to cuddle, most importantly. So as you've seen.
Yeah, she got very used to the domesticated dog. I mean, I don't know why not. That sounds like an awesome life for a dog.
Honestly, yeah.
So on the trail, did you have I don't even know if it's a fair question, but like a favorite part of the trail? Like it changes quite a bit. Maybe a few favorite parts, I guess.
I have to like scratch my mind to remember what spaces I really liked. I know that the Chequamegon was awesome. It was so quiet in the Chequamegon, and that was so peaceful in there. I mean, it's a nice little hike through the Chequamegon forest also. And then there's like one night I can't remember where it was, but it was towards the end. It was in that northern stretch. And like, I like dug out our little like campsite on this little hill in a hemlock forest. And the sun was like setting so perfectly, like through these trees. And I like set the door towards the west. And like, we watched the sunset while I was eating dinner. And like the stars came out and the moon was so bright. And like the wolf started howling. And it was just like the perfect, like, sleeping weather. The temperature was super nice, and like that was awesome. So like I don't know if I remember exactly like sections that I really liked the most, but like I remember little intimate moments like that I really liked.
Yeah, Chequamegon, which you said it way better than I do. I hear how you say it, and then I get in trouble for saying it slightly wrong. But
you can't think about the letters that are in the word. You just have to Chequamegon.
Chequamegon.
Yeah, you can't think about the letters that make up the word.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't even feel like the other part of Wisconsin. It's like I feel like it feels like Oregon or something like that.
Yeah. It's awesome in there. Yeah, like we stumbled across like these crazy huge areas where you could tell the deer were bedding down. It was like this huge deer bed I don't know how to describe it. Like they like dig up the leaves and like, it was nuts. And I'm just like, what? I'm sure there's like tons of videos of me that I have never like posted. I'm just like, whoa, wow, Dickens, look at this. And she's just like trotting along, like, okay, human, like whatever. It's like, I'd never seen something like that. So it was like really mind blowing. It's awesome.
Did it ever feel like too big of a task? Was there a time going, what the heck was I thinking? I've got 800 miles left and I've done 500. Yeah.
I think I was mostly like, woo, like less than 1,000 miles. Like, when I'm usually in like tough situations, especially like physically tough situations, my mentality turns pretty like not chipper, like not like sugary sweet, but like we can do this, like we got this, like also we have no other choice, so we gotta keep going, you know. But there were definitely like harder times where the snow was really deep, and this was probably the hardest time. Is like, have you guys ever like, you know what post holing is?
Yeah.
Like when you're in the snow and like you like can't get a pattern down for like your foot, like you can't get a pace down or anything. So like going up and down those huge like hills in that type of snow, I would have to be like, Diggins, you have to like, don't stop hiking. Like we have to get home. We have to like, a lot of times towards the end, especially, was like, we have to go see these school kids. We promised we would be there on time. Like, you know, we have to see these elementary kids. And I would lean on her a lot and be like, we have to keep, don't let me stop hiking, you know, all this stuff. So the deep snow was tough.
Yeah.
But the mileage was never like really intimidating, because it was always like nice to like, when you're chunking it out in like 20 miles, it's not bad. 15 to 20 miles a day, it's not bad. 10 miles a day, I'd probably suffer pretty hard.
Yeah, so like every day you're waking up and you're like, I get to be outside and I get to enjoy the trail. And
yeah,
it was,
unless it was raining,
weather.
And I was like, yeah, the rain like I'd be like, okay, how fast can we pack up this shelter and how dry can we stay?
I remember while you were out there some really like cold weather days and some wet days. Like how did you how did you take care of your clothing and stuff?
Yeah, I just, whenever I had a chance to, I would, so like if I stayed at someone's house, I would like use whatever room I was in or whatever like basement they had, and I would just like hang my stuff everywhere. And other than that, I kind of just hoped my stuff would dry out. And there was somebody doing a documentary on this trip while I was going along, and he would like meet up with me very sporadically. So there was one day where it was raining like it was like snaining outside, and I just so happened to have a day with him. So I like turned on his car heater and like dried all my stuff on his dash. I was like down to my base layer. I like had my stuff all over his car, just trying to dry it out. Anything you can do, literally anything you can do, you just do it.
Yeah. And what about Diggins? Did Diggins ever like wake up, go, oh man, can't we just sleep in today? Or was Diggins always ready to go?
Like she would like, I'd be like, all right, come on, Diggins. And she would like poke one eye open and like have her ear out. I knew she was like listening to me. And then I'd be like, all right, let's go. And she's like, I don't think so, not today. So I'd like have to shake her food bowl and be like, come on, there's food involved. You know, there's not.
Right.
You know, what motivates me? Food. All right, I'll probably motivate her too.
Yep.
I like crinkle a little wrapper to get her going. She's really into the crinkle sound.
Yeah. That's really.
But I don't. Do you know? So she's named after Jessie Diggins, the cross country skier. She's Olympian. I don't know if you guys know who she is.
I don't know who she is. Okay.
She's a Minnesotan. She's from Afton, I believe, Minnesota. Anyway, watch her race. And she is like a mental monster. You wouldn't like looking at her. She's a pretty petite person. I've never seen her in real life, but on TV, that's how she looks. But she has this like mental game that is amazing. And she can like dig like deep within inside of her and like pull out some energy from, I don't know, the nebulous. And like all of a sudden she becomes this crazy monster while she's skiing. And our Diggins, the dog, is very similar. We're like, the harder the task becomes, she's like, all right, we're gonna kick this in the face and we're just gonna do it right now. So like when we would start hiking, she was just like ready to go, just ready, no matter how tired we were, how little sleep we got. And she was always just ready to go after it.
So after doing 20 miles a day and it took you, I believe, like 69 days that I see, which you were right on schedule, because I saw earlier on somebody said that you were planning on 70 days. And
I think, between 65 and 70 days was like I think I had like 66 days. I had a few extra 0 days in there than I was hoping for. But also in my planning, look, if I could give any recommendations to anybody for planning a long hike, give yourself more rest days. I gave myself 1 rest day in my itinerary, which is so stupid. I think I was just super excited and I didn't like have the foresight to be rational. So I ended up with more 0 days than I was thinking I would have. So, but that was great. I met some really cool people. But yeah, I'm pretty much right on schedule.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
I think that's really good. What did you do on your rest days?
Eat.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like my first rest day was on day 6, which was a little embarrassing, but I had my patellar tendon was pulling on my kneecap, and my kneecap wasn't tracking, and I'd never had knee issues before, and I've been an athlete since I was like in 6th or 7th grade. I have avoided knee issues, and holy buckets, that was some pain. And so like I just sat down on the side of the road and I put my hood up and like sat down, put my legs up, and I Dickens was in between my legs. I just stuck my thumb out on the side of the road. Like this super nice family came and picked me up and brought me to where I needed to be next. So I took my first 0 day. So there wasn't much resting because I had to collect firewood and all this stuff on that day. But on 0 days as inside, I slept, read, ate a lot of food as much as I could. Caught up on social. Nothing. Tried to get as few miles in. Mostly only went outside to let Diggins out to go pee.
Yeah. Yep. And did that work its way out through the days?
Yeah. It was crazy. So when I had that 0 day, I called up one of my buddies who's an ultra athlete. And I was like, dude, have you ever had something like this? And she's like, get some KT tape and get this and get a brace. And she's like, sometimes these things just work out. Like, don't let it slow you down. She's like, you have to finish this. I was like, day 6. I'm like, okay, I guess so. And yeah, so I just hobbled. I just hobbled along until it kind of just got better. I had a buddy send me some medicine that was really helpful for some pain relief, and I was super thankful for that, because Walgreens were awesome. I just want to give a shout out to Walgreens. Like ever in my heart, Walgreens will be a silent hero. They're everywhere. They're everywhere in Wisconsin. Even in the smallest towns, there's a Walgreens or Dollar General. Both those I hope they're owned by the same company, because you guys are awesome. I spend a lot of time at both of those places when I use a lot of KT tape. Yeah. Lots of taping happened. Almost every night I'd retape everything. It sucked.
Did you feel stronger at the end than at the beginning?
Oh yeah. Hard to tell because the snow really made a difference. I had no snow in the beginning at all. If you remember the past winter, I don't know if you guys got any snow down where you are, but you're pretty close to the southern part I didn't get snow until I got to the southern part of the Ice Age Trail. So I could really cruise, and there's a lot of road walking, especially in the beginning on that eastern side, and the roads should be mostly plowed. So I could kind of cruise. So it was kind of hard to tell how much stronger I was. So I didn't really realize it until I got back home and I went skiing, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty good at this now. Lungs are pretty strong. Yeah.
What is your plans for your next big adventure then?
Yeah, I think I've had at least 50 different answers since people have been asking me this question. I was gonna do a trip up here in northern Minnesota this upcoming winter. I think I'll probably do smaller trips this winter. I need a little bit of a break. But then after that, I'm hoping to do something more in the Boundary Waters here in northern Minnesota. There's a lot of fires happening up here right now. And so I'm going to let that idea rest for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still want to, so that would be hiking a couple of trails on the North Country Trail and then actually hiking to my front door.
Okay.
Because we live severe hiking trails. So it would be less miles, but the winter will be a lot more wintry because I'll be so far north and it'll be a lot more isolated. Because it's the wilderness, it's the Boundary Waters wilderness area. So, but it's a pretty sacred space. So I really want to give them a lot of awareness. And if you haven't been up there, it's a beautiful little spot. So that's my my hope. And I love the Boundary Waters in the winter. It's so quiet up there in the winter. It's crazy, but it's awesome.
So you feel like I mean, how do you get used to being in the wilderness by yourself? Well, you've got Diggins. It sounds like you have a dog, but I've not put myself in that situation. Like, I really admire that you do that. How do you do that?
I've always kind of, so this will be helpful. When I was younger and I would be a bad kid, my mom would try to figure out ways to, punish me. And she soon learned that sending me to my room alone was really worthless because I loved being in my room alone as a child. Like, she'd be like, go to your room. I'd be like, oh, dang. Okay, I guess I have to go to my room now. And so I loved it, and I've kind of been that way as a human. I love people mostly. I love interacting with people, but solitude is really important. It's how I recharge. I'm an extremely deep thinker, and I love to think. There was probably 0 days on the Ice Age Trail where I didn't have something to think about. So I have plenty of things going on in the old noggin to occupy my time. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Are you going to write a book about this?
I tried to start one. Turns out I don't have motivation right now to write a book. You have a lot of motivation to write a book. For anybody who's a writer out there, kudos to you. It's hard, man. I will never ever again. Maybe I will, but I'll never say somebody did a terrible job because holy buckets, it's a lot of work just to get information out of your head onto paper. So for right now, I'm gonna lean on the crutch of the documentary that'll be coming out. It's called Breaking Trail. Hopefully it'll be out this winter, I think is what they're hoping for. So I'm gonna lean on that for a little while until I maybe get up the courage and ambition to write a book. I think it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think a kid's book about Dickens would be really fun, more so than about me. I think Dickens' Big Adventure would be way more exciting than Emily Takes a Long Walk Across Wisconsin.
That would be a fun book.
Yeah.
Diggins.
Yeah. Her and Her Big Adventure. Yeah.
We did have somebody ask what Shayna Stangler, thanks for watching, but she's asking what kind of footwear you wore.
Yeah. So I started out, what were my second pair? So I started out in Baffins, some Baffin boots, and I love Baffin. They're a Canadian company. They make really good winter wear. They make really good boots kind of overall. Unfortunately, the sole of that boot is not made for asphalt. And since I had so much road walking, I wish I would have had my boots here for this because there was no sole left at all on the bottom of those. And then I switched over to another pair, and I can't think of what brand they are. But they were another Gore-Tex boot, waterproof. If I think of the brand, Solomon. There we go. I switched over to my Solomon. Solomon's also another really good company. I love. They make ski boots. They make running shoes. My trail runners are Solomon's as well. They're really comfy. They were really warm. So I switched over to those finally about halfway through, and those ones made it through to the end. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just switched to Solomons. They are great.
What's that?
Shoes. I just switched to Solomons myself, and they're really. All my friends, or a lot of friends, I remember telling me how great they were, but they look like so much shoe to me. But they feel fantastic for running shoes.
Yeah. They make a really good boot too.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when this is like kind of a caveat, and maybe you both know this too, of like branding is one thing, but it's really about what's comfortable to you. Like when I first started backpacking, I really wanted an Osprey backpack because they looked really cool.
Yeah.
And I like wanted to be a cool backpacker. And it turned out that they just don't fit my body shape. And so when I first started backpacking, I had a Deuter. I took a Granite gear on this trip, which looks similar to a Deuter. They're kind of beefier. They look more cushionier because they are, and they're comfier for me. So when it comes to what works for me, may not work for you. I also, mind you, like I weigh 195 pounds, and then plus my pack. That's a lot of weight. So depending upon how much weight you're carrying with you, that's going to wear out on your shoe a lot faster. But footwear is super important.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything that, well, you kind of answered this a little bit, but if somebody was considering doing a very long hike like that, what would be the advice that you would have for them?
For sure. Yeah. The first thing I always say is, well, here's a couple things, right? So be realistic about your level of ability. So like for me, like I'm super comfortable in the Midwest. I'm super comfortable with our animals here. I'm comfortable with, things I'll encounter here. I am not comfortable in the mountains. I do not consider myself a mountaineer woman at all. Like I am really kind of worthless in the mountains. So just be realistic with your ability level. If you want to learn more about a certain like type of backpacking, I mean, there's tons of resources out there, and there's tons of groups that do the thing that you want to do. Sometimes it's just a little scary to be bold and ask those groups if you can hang out with them, but depends how much you want to do it. Secondly, have a plan, like make a plan. If you're gonna do a long hike, have an itinerary as best as you can, and then like really be ready to just kind of chuck it out the window and be gracious with yourself and be flexible, because you might get a knee injury on day 6 and you have to adjust right off the go. Have the gear that you need to have. Again, different brands make all the same gear almost, so kind of figure out what works for you and what's in your budget, because backpacking can become real expensive real fast. If you're new to it, borrow stuff as best as you can. If there's a university nearby you, I bet they rent out gear. Our university up here does, and I bet you could figure out a way to get rented gear. I'm sure like REI does rental gear stuff also. So just there's ways to kind of work around the money part of it. Have the right gear. Learn about nutrition in a way that makes sense to you as far as calories go, because you want to eat enough food. Don't short yourself on food, especially if you get hangry. If hanger is a downfall of yours, like give yourself what you need for sustenance. Your body and your brain will thank you way down the road. And always have a way, know what you're going to do for water. In the wintertime, just thinking about it. So as whatever you do for work in the winter, like how much less water do you drink if you're, versus the summertime, because you feel thirsty. The winter sucks the life out of you just as much as the summer does, probably even more. So purifier, if you're going to boil it, if you're going to filter it, figure that stuff out before you go, because water will be the thing that saves your life if something should happen. And probably finally, have an out plan if you can, if it's possible for you. If you're like in a really remote area, just give somebody your itinerary, even if you are going to throw it out. It doesn't, even if it's the stranger that gives you the shuttle, somebody should know where you are. And I love being a solo hiker. I love being on my own, but it's also important for me to be smart in my solitude as well. So it's kind of the bunch of things I would say.
That's all good stuff. I think that's your book right there. Just write that down.
Right.
Make it a little longer,
yeah.
a little more detail. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's really, really great advice.
There you go.
Well, we also have a part
Yeah.
of our show that's called the Ornery Meal Stubborn 5, and Crystal will do that, so you'll get a few more questions here.
Perfect.
Yeah, but before we start, I had a question. You had said earlier that you had a sled in the beginning, but you ended up not using that. Why did you decide not to use that?
I was not, so I made my polk out of a kid's sled, and I didn't put better runners on it than what a kid sled usually has. And so, I'm trying to figure out how to like do orientation with my hand on Zoom. There's like hills like this, right? So like they go up, but then there's hills that are cantered.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was encountering a lot of cantered slopes, and I would lose my sled and I would lose my stuff down the side like too many times as I got frustrated. So I'm hoping for my next trip, and I really want to practice this winter, is buying an actual polk or building better runners for my current sled that I have, the current sled setup I have right now. So I don't want to, because it's really helpful. It's so much easier to pull your stuff than to carry it. And I made it convertible so that I could put wheels on for the road, because I would have burnt out the bottom in the first 10 miles.
Yeah.
And just, I want to make a better setup for, encountering road walking also. So a few things. Just, it was a good idea, but it wasn't a perfect idea. I'm glad I did it because it also showed me what things I didn't need, because I could carry way more than I could have in my backpack.
Yeah. That's so cool that you made your own.
It is much cheaper. I was running out of money.
Yes.
I was like, all right, kid sled. Nice. Some lawnmower wheels. Cool. Some 2x4s. I have my base. Awesome.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do our stubborn 5. All right. Question 1 is, what is something about you that people may not know?
I don't think people know that I'm an introvert. I think because my life is pretty public between doing this and working at Glensheen, I work, with visitors, people who are tourists. I think people think I'm a pretty good extrovert, but I'm pretty deeply introverted.
Well, you do like your solitude, and alone time recharges you. So that right off the bat, I knew you were an introvert because you said that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Do you have any other hobbies besides through hiking the Ice Age Trail?
Yeah, totally. Outside of gardening, I have been working on my home remodel. I've been working on this house for like 5 years now. So I love building. Actually, recently, today, I just bought a Jeep. This is like my 4th Jeep. It's a little Wrangler. It's real rusty, so it's going to become a little car project. So just like with anything that I can do like with my hands is really fun. I also love doing puzzles, like tabletop puzzles. So kind of anything to like keep my little hands busy is good for me.
Oh, cool.
That's cool. Good
Yeah.
hobbies. I'm glad I don't like puzzles, so I'm glad someone else does.
Yeah.
I get too mad. Like, "Nah, I can't do this."
Just pushes it off the table.
Yeah. If my daughter were here, she'd be like, she does do that. All right. Do you have anyone that you look up to?
Oh man, so many people. One of the people, especially, oh God, there's such a long list. Many people in my family, but we'll just exclude them right now. But the person who suggested that I post on Facebook about Diggins, her name is Lynn Ann, and she lives up north, like near Ely. And she was my guide for this dog sledding trip I took. And like, she's this badass winter lady that like, it's her and her cats up there. Her cats are like these rad outdoor cats. And I'm like, you're the coolest. You're like so cool. And like, she's the person I lean on super heavily when I take these trips. Like I ask her questions about gear, and she's so cool. I like kind of barely know her now that I think about it, and I'm saying this out loud right now, but totally, like, I don't care. She's still super rad.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's so cool. She's like living my life. I want to be like a with cool cats and
Like leading dog sleighing trips,
well,
skiing
maybe
across the
not
mountain.
that, but like living up somewhere and like in the woods and having cats. That's like my dream.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, what is something that you're looking forward to?
I mean, maybe obviously, but winter. I really, it's like maybe like too much of a cliche answer for me, but like I can't, because I'm a gardener, I love the growing season, right? Because I love to grow plants. But there's something about there's a book by Catherine May called Wintering. And if you don't like winter, it's a good book for reading, Crystal. It's a great book. It's really about rest. And kind of wrestling with that part of yourself that doesn't want to rest, but you need to. And for those of you who do love winter, it's the perfect book for you. And it really made me fall in love with winter again. So I'm really excited to see some snow. Like my dreams are always of like 10 feet of snow at my door. Like that quintessential, like I had to like figure out, like get a shovel and like shovel out my door from the inside. It's like a dream of mine. I should just like move to the UP, I guess, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Right. That's how much snow they get there. Yeah.
All right, last question is, what is your favorite treat for a job well done? Like, what did you eat after you were finished with the thru hike?
I don't really have favorites in my life. I try to live favorite free, but I really missed fresh greens on my trip. So much so that I ate so much lettuce that my body was like, this is too much lettuce. I'm sorry, it tastes so good. But I don't know if like you've ever bought like those big bins of greens from the grocery store and then like they go bad in their fridge because you're like, I'm totally gonna eat this. Like, then you don't because you're a normal human being. No, I went through 3 of them and I was, I really missed fresh greens. It was so tasty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you eat a vegetarian diet? Okay.
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
Not even. I eat any animal that crosses my path.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
One other thing I actually forgot to ask is I was wondering what kind of wildlife you ran into on the trail.
Yeah. So with a dog, you don't run across as many animals as you would if you were just a human by yourself. Lots of birds, lots and lots of birds. They're very loud. They wake up very early in the morning, and the owls never go to bed at nighttime. They're also very loud. Lots of that. Lots of eagles and hawks, which is really cool. Lots of deer. What else? And then we heard wolves and coyotes, but we never saw them.
Yeah.
Which I'm not upset about, but I mean, I'm always down for seeing some big predators. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of the wolf population.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, very, very interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Breaking Trail. And when did you say that comes out, or you expect it to come out?
Yeah, it should come out this winter, hopefully either late fall or early winter. We haven't stamped down a date yet, so stay tuned. I will definitely be on my Instagram when that comes out. Probably every day I'll post on my Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure we share a link. We'll have to, at the trailhead here, we should have like a movie watching night. How will you watch it? Will it be at theaters, or like how will we get that?
I think Jesse is doing his best to get him to festivals, and then I think they're going to try to work something out with UW-Madison also. Okay. And then after that, it will all be through Credo Notification, which is the group that did it. So I will do my best to kind of communicate that information as it comes to me. I've seen it and it's fantastic, but I don't know how to get it to other people when it's ready.
Yeah, well, actually, one thing that I've always wanted to do is have like a trail night. There's this really cool theater by us. I mean, I could help organize here, and I'm sure we'd have a lot of people that would want to come see it and play it in this adorable theater in a little square. If they're interested in that, I can help on it.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna once all of the edits and everything's done and like Jesse's kind of through that, I'll ask him what that looks like for people to view it and see it and everything like that. Cause that'd be super cool to share it in whatever capacity that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it's actually been on my bucket list to have like a trail movie, at this nice little theater. And that would be, I mean, everybody from around here, like we're all huge fans of you and what you did, and really super cool. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that it's impactful to other people. It's me watching myself. So I'm like, all these memories are coming up to me. So it's different for me than another person to watch it. But I hope it's as impactful for others. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine watching it as yourself. Like that would.
Yep. Yeah. There's a few snippets of me singing, which is fine.
Yeah.
A lot of singing happened. If you wondered how I pass the time, is I spend a lot of time singing. If you know the song "Stronger" by Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I just turned the word stronger. I just substitute that with smaller. I'm smaller than yesterday because I was just losing inches as I hiked along. So so really just a lot of singing until it was too cold to sing. And then I just sung in my head.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much, Emily. And we really appreciate the time that you gave us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was awesome. This was really fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you had fun. Well, I hope that we cross paths with you again. And if you're always welcome back. It was really great to meet you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of talking to other people about this and kind of hearing different questions that people have. It's really fun.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and thanks to my son, Royal over here that's doing all the fancy stuff in the background, and Coach Loretta for organizing all this. So, bye everyone.
Bye.